Well, Senator Scott said it well. I need to keep that chart up here, though. You taking it away?
There it comes.
John Kennedy has a joke. He says, I don't like to brag about the expensive places I go to, but I went to the gas station last week. And there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, I filled up my pickup truck about 3 weeks ago now. I haven't driven much since because I'm not wanting to fill it up again. It's $94. And, you know, to the guy or the woman who is commuting, who has a fixed income or middle income, lower income families I represent, you know, that's a killer. They are spending more and more, not just on gas. This is about utility bills, too. In Ohio, our utility bills have gone up about 40%. A lot of that's natural gas. So it's about energy production generally, and it is affecting our economy in a very significant way, as we see with inflation and people's wages not being able to keep up with inflation. People are underwater now. You know, during the couple of years before the pandemic, we had wage increases every month, actually 19 months of wage increases. But significantly, they were at 3% or more every month. I mean, they were above inflation every month. Now it's just the opposite. Inflation's here, wages are here. They've gone up some, but not nearly as much as inflation. I like these charts because they show two things. One, they show that the truth is not that this is because of the Ukrainian war. I mean, it was already going up, and in fact, it was on an upward trajectory, okay? This chart shows, you know, where we were in terms of gas prices, and I know what you're wondering, so I'm going to do the math for you, because you're wondering, well, what is the overall percentage? Like, how much of this 48% increase in gas and 20% increase happened pre and post? So this would be 62%. So 62% of the increase happened before the invasion, remembering that it was already going up, so it would have gone up some since then. And this is 38% after the invasion. Now, I'm not saying that what Russia did helped in terms of energy prices. It definitely has an impact, definitely, including our decision, which was the right decision for our country and for the national security of our country, to cut off our Russian oil coming into this country and then revenue going back to Russia to fund the war machine. But this is what the facts indicate, so it's not accurate for the Biden administration to say, this is Vladimir Putin's gas increase. It just isn't accurate. Does it contribute? Absolutely, it contributes. But the majority of it was already happening and the trajectory was already increasing. There's another issue that I'd like to mention, because we're at war here in Ukraine with Russia. We're trying to help Ukraine all we can. We're trying to ensure that the revenues that Vladimir Putin gets from the rest of the world dry up through sanctions, right? So this war machine isn't being funded, and he can't continue to kill innocent civilians as he is doing every single day, every single night, bombing schools and hospitals and apartment buildings. Well, our biggest challenge, as I see it right now, is military assistance, which we're starting to do more of. I wish we could do even more, and I think we can. But second is the revenues coming into his economy. You probably saw they're going to reopen their stock market in Russia. You probably saw the ruble was viewed as stabilizing this week. Why? Because he's getting a lot of revenue from his oil and gas sales to Europe, to Asia, India, China. That's funding this war machine. So what's one of the answers to that? One of the answers is, I hope, one that the President of the United States will talk to his NATO colleagues about tomorrow and make a very strong case that they need to embargo the Russian oil and gas also. Because if they don't, and if other countries around the world don't, he'll continue to have the money to send those missiles to kill those innocent civilians, right? That's his number one revenue source. It's their number one export. So we can come up with all sorts of ways to take away most favored nation treatment. I support that. To do away with the tax treaty, I support that. To put in place our own embargo on Russian oil. But if we don't deal with this issue, it's going to be very, very difficult for the Ukrainian people to survive this conflict. One way to do it is to tell our NATO partners, if you get away from your dependency on Russian energy, we'll be there. And our allies will be there. Countries in the Middle East, as an example, like Qatar, who have said that they're happy to send liquefied natural gas into Europe to help to backfill some of this loss of energy they're getting from Russia if they make the right decision. We need to do the same thing. The export terminals for LNG are able to be constructed very quickly. We can construct more of them. The import terminals with the new technology, we can get those going quickly in Europe. There's some already. We need to flood the zone. We need to provide the Europeans more energy from this country. But we can't do that if we have an administration that's saying on the one hand we want to beat Putin and on the other hand we want to stifle energy production in this country. Because those allies of ours depend on natural gas from Russia. They need it. We need to provide more production in this country to be able to provide them the energy that they need to be able to say no to Putin and yes to the freedom of the Ukrainian people, to no to tyranny, and yes to the Ukrainian people have a chance to survive. So this is related to the pump. It is, and it's painful for people, but it's also related to something even bigger, and that is the ability for us to be effective at stopping this cowardly and brutal invasion of Ukraine. Thank my colleagues.